Well, I might be trans fan, but I sure don't like this pickle we're in. The shingles are better, by the way. Thank you for the well wishes. So, as everyone seems to be aware of, the biggest clown in America's history has now become the leader of the free world. Again. So let's get right into it. Trump has waged war against transgender people, amongst other demographics, but we'll be focusing on transgender people today because that's sort of what the channel is, right? And right off the top, we've discussed this already, but please, please, please remain hopeful. I've talked about this in my Dear Trans People video, and I hope that you've seen enough media or seen enough support or seen enough resources since the election was verified up until this point to still have a reason to hang on. Definitely the emotions I felt on the 20th were different than the emotions I felt back in November. It feels so miserable. However, here we are, and we have to kind of stick around. And like I've discussed, we're not killing ourselves. We're just not. I know it's dismal. I know it sucks out here. I know being alive feels like living a constant, arduous journey that people don't want you to make any progress towards. Sort of not even Sisyphean, because they don't even let you make progress. They sort of just prevent you from rolling the boulder in the first place. I get it. It's tough. And being aware that the federal government and just the systems of law set in place for us, headed by a trifecta of Republican power, is not going to protect our best interests. Knowing that is trash, for sure. We're allowed to feel some type of way about this. Some type of way meaning that this sucks. However, trans people have existed, do exist, and will continue to exist. Have always, do always, will always. And no legal definition of who we are or what gender is going to ever get rid of us. Morality does not proceed law. It precedes it. So with that in mind, a lack of morality does also precede law in some cases. All that law does is enact what the governing body thinks is within its power to exercise control of. So yeah, sure, even if it's illegal to be trans, even if systems are put into place to make sure that we're eradicated, we can't be eradicated. Maybe by legal definition, but biologically and socially, we're still going to be around. So the language, the very, very, very thin fucking 20th turn of the Jenga round language that these conservative lawmakers are using to sort of flex their political muscle, it's shaky. And it can't get rid of us. Because I'm still here. You're still here, right? Is it obvious that I'm drunk and also pissed off? So naturally, I meant to have gotten to this a little bit late. As a result, people, you probably have already been exposed to the meme of, haha, the way that the conservative /Trump /Republican Party have defined male and female leaves a little bit of a loophole because they obviously don't know how science works, and they've made it such that male and female is basically just the same thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here is the exact quote. And this is, of course, referring to Trump's executive order titled, Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. I wonder if we are done defending women from all of that, whether we will begin to defend women from, the patriarchy, rape culture. Maybe in 2028, we just won't let anyone into restrooms. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, this executive order states that a female means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the large reproductive cell, meaning the egg. And a male means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the small reproductive cell, meaning the sperm. And lots of people online have said that this means that that Trump has basically designated everyone's female, because we all do technically start as female from within the egg. We all start as a base, biologically feminine zygote, which is actually a kind of almost close but not quite understanding of how that works. If anything, we are actually all sort of non-binary from from conception because we don't produce the biological functions, aka we don't produce sperm or eggs until much, much later in. However, the language does say to the sex that produces the large or small reproductive cell, which means of the sex that will eventually produce these, not meaning the individuals. Because there are individual cisgender men and individual cisgender women who are born infertile. In addition, this is eradicating intersex people entirely from the conversation. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter what definition they provide for us. It really doesn't. And I know it's fun to poke the loopholes. I know it's so fun to be haha, it says this. And we as people who actually understand the nuances of gender and sex understand that they have not actually properly defined man or woman from a biological or social construct, standpoint, viewpoint. It doesn't matter. They could even just say male is someone who grows facial hair, and female is someone who doesn't, which is so obviously wrong, but it won't matter to them because they don't care what the truth is. We are playing such different games, and at this point, it's gotten to the point where it's fun. It's fun to find the loopholes. Haha, teehee. They didn't design this with the idea that the definitions that they've created and that the executive orders that they've passed are solid fucking steel, solid bedrock that cannot be broken through. They've designed this to perpetuate hate. It also makes it much more difficult for people with X as their gender marker to actually legally exist. I follow a fellow trans queer content creator who posted something saying that it might be difficult for people with X gender markers on their passports if they are out of the United States to re-enter the United States because their gender marker is not one supported anymore by this executive order. So yes, the loopholes are fun. However, I'm tired of finding them because we know the other side's not playing by those rules. I've been saying for a while, the left needs to get better at just kicking shins and spitting in faces. We need to get better at the propaganda that the right is espousing, and I get that we actually care about what the truth is, and I get that we care about what the actual science is, and people can poke fun at us because they are working backwards from the conclusions they're working from. But fuck it. Let's just start lying. Sure, social and language loopholes exist in this executive order. What I care more about is, can this stand? Theoretically, no. Just because an executive order exists doesn't mean that it will remain in effect forever. For example, some of the 100 executive orders that Donald Trump signed on his first day of his inauguration canceled some of the executive orders that Biden had in effect. In 4 years, if we elect a Democrat or a Republican who's willing to play ball, then it's possible that this executive order, the one that I'm making this video about, could be signed out of existence. Rough 4 years ahead of us, and also sets a horrible precedent for the fact that every 4 years or 8 years, certain demographics just have to fucking cross their fingers and hope and pray. But this doesn't need to stand. Just because an executive order exists doesn't mean that there needs to be legislation for it. Congress, which is skewing Republican, but Congress could either pass legislation against it or not support the legislation that would put it into effect, or could block funding for it. However, we are unfortunately looking at a Republican trifecta: Republican president, Republican Supreme Court, because we had a Republican president who personally instated two or three, I think, of the current Supreme Court justices, in addition to a Republican Congress. We are outnumbered in both the House of Representatives by, I believe it is 215 to 220, and in the Senate we are outnumbered 47 to 53. While it is possible, and has been possible, that Congress could block an executive order, I wouldn't bet that our current Congress, especially with a 2/3 majority, which is the vote that is necessary to block something like this, would be willing to come up to swing at the bat for us. However, executive orders have been blocked before. The major executive order that was overturned under legal jurisdiction was President Truman's attempt to place all of the country's steel mills under federal control. during the Korean War to like help the war effort. And this was deemed unconstitutional in, I believe, Youngstown Street and Tube Co. versus Sawyer, because it attempted to make law. The Supreme Court's job and the president's job in executive orders is to interpret rather than to create. Even Trump's executive orders have been overturned in the past. His order to prevent immigration from Muslim-majority countries back during his first term was overturned by the lower court. However, that overturning was also then overturned by the Supreme Court. Truly, none of this matters because of the fact that it even happened in the first place. Social dynamics precede law, precede social dynamics. Yeah?
Why the fuck aren't you here with my 6?
Because I'm filming a video.
So pause it, we finish it when you get home. Get here, now.
Baby, okay, I'll be on my way in like 5.
Okay, I'm gonna call you in 5.
Alright, call me in 5. Guess what I'll be doing? Alright.
As soon as we hang up.
Alright, you do that. I can finish this up.
I will.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Lisette, I love you so much and I can't wait to see you.
I love you and I can't wait to see you. I'll call you in 5.
Mwah.
Mwah, bitch.
Mwah, ho. What was I even talking about? Some people are like, hey, morality's complex. Hey, morality's cultural. Hey, like, everyone has a different set of morals. No! I think morals are just the things that you don't want to have happen to you, and you just are a decent enough person to want to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone else. Right? And then you kind of try to lobby to make sure that legalmente there are consequences where that does happen to other people that aren't you. Right? And then if you're an asshole, you do the opposite. You kind of lobby to make sure that laws are put in place to make sure stuff like that does happen to people who aren't you. So really, honestly, like, this executive order could be overturned tomorrow. However, I think the damage is already done. Like, there is more damage if it stays in place, obviously, because, like, there are legal blockades. Like, people can have difficulties, like, getting passports that match their gender identity. People can have a difficult time suing if a teacher or a boss or an employee misgenders them, right? Or if someone's prevented from being employed, or if someone is fired as a result of gender identity. I'm sorry, I'm so drunk. While that is, like, jail time, and while that is fines, and while that is penalties, and while that is a lack of economic stability, a lack of, like, career opportunities, a lack of, like, security, and the idea that, like, I can continue to work my 9 to 5 without wondering if my boss can get away with misgendering me. Socially, like, this has opened a can of worms. We, for better or for worse, look to our mentors, look to the president for moral guidance, which sucks. Even if courts were to get this thrown out, it's already been stated loudly by the most powerful person in our nation that this is okay. That it's okay to say that certain people don't deserve rights. It's okay to say that certain people deserve to suffer for an ideology that we're not even espousing, an ideology that is being pushed against us. When Trump was saying that fucking bullshit of, like, can't wait to get gender ideology out of our public and private lives, I was like, I'm just existing. You're the one who's saying I'm not allowed to. You're the one who's constantly saying that this is an issue. It feels like there's this breath that's been released on one side while the other starts to hold it. There's this group of people who have been, like, waiting to be homophobic, waiting to be transphobic on Maine for 4 years, and now they finally can be. And we're going to have to really see what that leads to. There's no way it's been 5 minutes.
You remember when you said I wouldn't call you back in 5?
Has it been 5?
I set a timer, and it just went off, you motherfucker.
Alright, I'll wrap this up.
What do you mean wrap this up? You should have already been on the way.
I lied! Okay, leave me alone. I'm on my way. Alright, so obviously I have to leave. Basically, what I want to say is, as always, no matter how hard this is, we've been through harder as a community. Stick together. Find volunteer opportunities in your community. Find safe online spaces. There's a Discord in my link, in my description link right now. Click on it. Join us. We'll talk about queer shit. Because here's the thing. I'm gonna be queer. I'm still gonna transition. I'm still non-binary. I don't care what the fucking law says. I care a little bit. I am very pissed off. With that being said, socially, I'm going to do what I want. Fuck this guy. We should all fucking share the same. We should all espouse the same ideals. Fuck this. Fuck that. Fuck Elon Musk and his fucking sending my heart out to the crowd. Let's get these motherfuckers. Alright, I'm going to the bar. Mwah.